Senator Rose Conway-Walsh.
Thank you, Minister. I wish I shared your confidence. I spent yesterday in Mayo and couldn't send an email all day. Something as simple as that. And the truth is, that both Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael have failed people in relation to broadband. The facts speak for themselves. I mean, we have absolute announcement fatigue. Just looking through, we've been there since 2007, 2008, 9, 10, under Fianna Fáil, and then right through to Fine Gael. The fact is that they didn't deliver on what they promised year after year after year. In relation to Fianna Fáil's motion last week on broadband that was passed in the Dáil, I was surprised that they placed such emphasis on the dangers of privatisation. The dangers associated with the privatisation of telecommunications services began way back in 2000, when one of the key pieces of statewide infrastructure, Telecom Éireann, was privatised. That was done under the Fine Gael Government, and that was the start of the rot. It's as simple as that. That's factual. From then on, any planned expansion of the communications network or necessary upgrade was at the mercy of shareholders and at the whim of the markets. And if Fianna Fáil are so good at doing business now, maybe they'd go out and beg the billionaire, the French billionaire, who now owns our vital infrastructure, to give it back. You know, it's been right around the world. We know that it has. We knew we were going to lose control of it. But to sell off at that vital time, to sell off our main telecommunication system in the country was bizarre in the extreme. And if I live to be 120, I will never be able to figure that one out. Sinn Féin has repeatedly warned the Government about the fundamental flaws in the procurement system it was following and its determination to hand over control of this project to private interests. There is a chance now to row back, however. The Sinn Féin amendment last week to the Dáil motion called for the remainder of the rollout of broadband to be placed in state ownership. We also want to explore the feasibility of using existing state infrastructure held by the ESB for the future rollout of broadband. And Minister, I would ask you, have you considered using the gas pipelines, the railways and the backhaul lines serving the metropolitan area networks as possible infrastructure which could be used in the remaining rollout of the National Broadband Plan? And I need to ask where the process stands now. Because I think as we're going along, I mean, all the time we get announcements of there's so much coverage now and there's so much coverage, but the fact is that they are all commercial, and we're still at the mercy of commercial entities as to whether we get this vital service or not. Without the rollout of the National Broadband Plan, it means that 61% of farms are outside existing high-speed coverage, 437 schools relying on slow connections. Broadband black spots represent 96% of the landmass of the state. And it was said earlier, you know, even in relation to the Department of Agriculture, and we spent earlier this afternoon with Minister O'Donoghue, who tells us all about e-government and the plans there, but they're absolutely not compatible. It's leading to a whole area of the country, whether it be in banking, and we heard from banking last week that 21% of people don't do online banking or can't do it. So we are further marginalising very vulnerable communities, and we really need to take notice of that. And there almost needs to be a stop of the e-government until we have proper broadband to ensure that it is inclusive and that it is not socially and economically excluding vast areas and vast numbers of citizens within the country. And if we take my own county of Mayo, the withdrawal of AIR means that 37,046 premises, which are in the amber premises intervention sector, are now in complete limbo. All this in a county where you cannot rely on regular, uninterrupted access to fast-speed broadband already. But Minister, there's no light at the end of the tunnel for people living in the areas affected. We wait and we wait and we wait, and we're promised and we're promised, and we're just absolutely sick of it at this stage. The reason we agreed for the call, with the call for a review of the entire plan is that we genuinely think that there are ministers in government who aren't aware of the dire circumstances that we are now left in. Are there any guarantees in place for these premises, ministers, given that you are effectively no longer in control of the bidding process with only one bidder involved? But Minister, I'm afraid that in the desperate rush to save the very plan in itself, that the government is prepared to settle for a lesser plan overall. Are there any plans to require all future providers of broadband, including anything that emerges from the wreckage of the current process, to ensure minimum connection speeds? Because it's not good enough just connecting people if they cannot download and upload in terms of what they need to do. For every week and month that an area is without a broadband connection, especially in the rural areas, there are countless business and employment opportunities missed. You know, it is just hemorrhaging job opportunities because we don't have broadband, and that's either in people moving back into rural communities from abroad, or people looking to set up new businesses. We were told at the Finance Committee today that there are plans to, as I said, to greatly increase the digitisation of state services such as the passport renewal, and how will this interruption to the rollout of the National Broadband Plan affect the planned digitisation of even more state services, as I said. But have you considered enhancing the role of the local post offices to act as points of first connection to high-speed broadband? I really believe that a post office with a high-speed broadband could offer more state services and act as a local rollout point for the future and a local hub for the future, and it would also ensure partly the sustainability of post offices going forward. And I think that is what we need to be considering. So I'd really appreciate it if you could answer some of the questions that I addressed here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator.